This is it, the best Switch 2 model and the closest we've ever gotten to the real thing. Things are getting serious now. We not only know that the previous predictions were right, but we actually have factory prototype images as well. So, I used all of this information to create the best model of the Switch 2 that we've ever seen. No one's ever done this. I mean, some have 3D printed like a rough model, but that's not enough. I decided to painstakingly add every detail that we know so far, even making the dock, which I'll get to later. Making this was pretty hard, so let me break it down for you. Seriously though, I'll tell you what I've done to make the best model yet. Thanks to Opera GX for sponsoring this video. If you're still stuck with a basic browser that's hogging your computer's resources and boring you to death, it's time to level up. Opera GX isn't your average browser, it's made for the best kind of people. Gamers. It's no secret that certain browsers take up way too much RAM on your computer. With Opera GX, this is a thing of the past. It literally gives you a panel where you can limit the CPU and RAM usage of your browser, so games won't lag while you've got a million tabs open. Look how much better it is compared to Chrome. We're all Nintendo fans here. And you know what that means. We love modding things. Opera GX lets you customize your entire browsing experience. You can change the background music, keyboard sounds, opening and closing tab sounds, theme colors, and even the wallpaper. I picked the Wii mod because I like all the sound effects, they're really satisfying. If you don't like certain parts of the mod, you can just disable them. Plus, there's the GX store, where you can explore tons of mods and find the one that perfectly matches your style. Opera GX also has ChatGPT and ChatSonic built right into the sidebar. You can use it to summarize articles, brainstorm ideas, or even plan a gaming session, all without leaving your browser. The GX Corner might be my favorite feature, to be honest. It's like a digital version of those gaming magazines you used to get, like Nintendo Power. You get free games, the latest news, and the best deals all in one place. Huh. Apparently this game trailer has teased the Switch too. Switching to a new browser doesn't have to be a hassle either. Opera GX has a quick import tool, so you can bring over all your bookmarks, history, and settings in just a few clicks. It even works with every single Chrome extension. If you're ready to stop torturing yourself with a boring browser, use my link below and download Opera GX today. Thanks to Opera GX for sponsoring this video. Let's start with the rails. This was a pretty big pass from my previous prediction, where I had like these magnetic rails on the side of the Joy-Con. Although in that version, the rails that I had were flat and just snapped onto the system, which is a bit dumb in hindsight. Lots of people pointed out that if you just press the release button, the Switch is just gonna fall on you. That was close. But as we've seen from the leaked images of the factory prototype, they actually like slot into the body of the Switch itself. This means if you accidentally press the button, it's not going to be as big of a deal. Also, the actual magnets themselves are like these two little circles on the top and the bottom of the side of the Joy-Con. This helps align it, I guess, but I still think that the SL and SR buttons have some magnetic properties as well. Speaking of the SL and SR buttons, they're actually decently sized now. I mean, look at the Switch's buttons. They are tiny, like they're really uncomfortable to press. And I suppose that you've got these as well, which makes them slightly bigger, but even then, it's not comfortable. So it seems like they're going from small buttons to actual triggers, which is really cool. Another thing that I noticed from the factory leak was that the player LEDs are now front-facing rather than sideways. I mean, when you slot the Joy-Con into the current grip, they actually have to use some weird like mirror system to get them front-facing. So this new version makes a lot of sense. Actually, if the new Joy-Cons slot in sideways, you're going to have a new kind of grip. I mean, they can't just do that anymore. So yeah, the front-facing LEDs seem quite cool. I also think it'd be cool if the LEDs were a different color as well. White would be cool, or actually any color that matches the Joy-Con would be awesome. As for the controller itself, this has a bunch of new changes that was really difficult to make. To start with, the Joy-Cons have larger ABXY and D-pad buttons now, which is huge. The current ones are really small, which I'm not a fan of. Not only that, but we actually have confirmation that the ones on the left are still going to be circular rather than my D-pad design, which fine. I still decided to take some creative liberties though, and I changed the arrow prints on the D-pad to be lines, so it matches the DS, because I think that's kind of cool. I've also kept them as coloured buttons because I still think that looks really cool. And again, it's a great way to identify the Switch 2 from the original Switch. Honestly, it seems like almost all of the major buttons are bigger, even the release ones on the back. Going off of those leaked CAD renders, you can see that they're kind of like sideways facing now, and much bigger. I'm assuming this is so it's more intentional when you're pressing the release, because again, you don't want it falling on your face. We also got confirmation that there's another button on the right Joy-Con, which I already showed in my last concept. I actually nailed the shape of the button, but I just got the positioning of it a little bit wrong. Rather than going here, it's going to go directly below the home button, which makes sense. What doesn't make sense is that it seems to have the letter C imprinted on it. I mean, there's been the C stick on previous controllers like the GameCube controller, N64 controller, and I think it was on the new 3DS as well. But never a button. What could this letter C mean? I have no idea. Well, I have one idea. Chat. Think about it, the Switch 2 will probably have a new version of Switch Online, and I'm really hoping it will have an actual version of voice chat. If it does, it would be really convenient to have a chat button that you can just like press and hold in the middle of a game to sort out like your party or whatever. Or perhaps you can press it to open like a text chat instead. Oh, also, the controllers seem to be rounder as well, and I think this is because they're bigger. This will make it more ergonomic and more pleasant to hold. Also, it would be a massive defining feature in telling the difference between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, because their overall silhouettes will be different. As for the actual body of the Switch 2, it's way bigger now. The screen's going up from 7 inches to 8 inches, that's pretty much confirmed. But we also got direct size comparisons in some CAD renders as well, so I've used that to make an accurate prediction. I think some people are going to think this is too big and less like a handheld. I mean, the original Switch is a nice size, but you also have to consider the fact that the Switch 2 is going to be much more powerful, so it probably needs that extra space as well. Not only is the screen going to be bigger, but it's going to be a higher resolution as well, at 1080p instead of 720. And yes, I removed the LEDs in the corners of the console, but I did put one on the top, because why not? The final notable change about the body is that there's a USB-C port on the top now. This could have some different functionalities actually. The main one being, you can finally charge your Switch while having it in tabletop mode. It was a major design flaw to not have that in the first place. But I also think it would be cool if you could use it to connect to other Switches as well, like that Game Link thing or whatever it was called on the Game Boy. Wouldn't it be cool if you could plug it in directly to the dock and have it as a second screen while using it on the TV? It's just a thought. And speaking of the dock, I've made that too, and it's probably one of the most accurate things that I've got. You see, someone leaked the designs of it from like this really basic sketch, which doesn't seem like a big deal. But a very well-respected person with inside information also says that it looks similar to what he's been given from a source. That's not direct corroboration, but it's a good sign. So I took the liberty to make that as well. And it looks pretty similar to the Switch 1's dock, but the back is now slanted. Maybe it's to fit in extra components, or maybe it's just to look different, who knows. I also included USB-C ports on the side instead of USB-A, because, you know, it looks more modern that way. And instead of having that tiny little green LED on the Switch 1's dock, I decided to make the logo the LED, similar to those MacBooks that you used to get. This is just something I thought would be cool, and I think it looks pretty neat. So that's everything I've done to make the most accurate prediction that we've ever seen so far. Now it's worth pointing out that these were based on a leaked factory prototype, not the actual thing, not the final product. Okay, so the final thing might be slightly different, but I think it's going to have most of these main points. I guarantee you that a bunch of YouTubers are just going to use my renders again as B-roll, but oh well. And that's it. Subscribe for more. And watch this video.